Hello. I'm just never sure how to start these things off. It's just so. This is just not my style. I'm working with something that's outside my wheelhouse. I'm a person who likes talking to another person, and so I have to, in my mind, and I slapped myself pretty hard there. In my mind, I have to visualize me talking to another person because I'm a front and center person. I connect with people, right, through physical presence. And so I have to create a physical presence when I'm talking here. So anyway, that's I'll have to add that to my list of things I'm going to be learning to do. The good thing about it is that this is recording. So not only will I get to see my growth as this thing progresses, you will too. Okay, so let's hope for the best. Okay, now the real reason I came in here today was I wanted to talk about focus and how difficult that was for me during my most intense and weighted periods in my life, where dealing with life's challenges and managing trauma and the trauma filters were at their most extreme. And I always use this example because I saw Lisa Nichols when she was talking about when she was going through her transition with her health and her weight. And she told people that people were pressing her about why she didn't tell them what was happening for her when she was doing her weight loss. And she told them, I couldn't talk to you about it because I didn't understand. You know, I had to, well, I'm not quoting, don't let me quote her on this, don't quote it word for word, but she said that she couldn't teach. I had a pop-up come up. She couldn't teach what she hadn't learned. She couldn't teach a lesson she hadn't learned, right? And so for me, while that was happening for me, I couldn't teach on what I hadn't learned yet. And so my focus didn't become clear to me until I was able to truly define how trauma was ruling my life. It needed a name for me. And sometimes it's like that for all of us. Not all of us, but some of us, you know, that happens. I don't want to generalize. For some of us, that happens. We need a physical presence. We need something substantive to give, you know, material, physical. That's what I'm looking for. We need something physical to have an identity, to give it a name, to have a real foe, to know what we're working with or battling against, right? And so for me, trauma was a word, but there were just so many variations of it because it happens for us all on different degrees. I watched, and I should have. I'm going to be doing a video on that later. A gentleman that I came across he's the gentleman who wrote "The Body Keeps the Score." Can't think of his name right now, but he talked about. He just one day I was watching one of the videos, and he says, trauma is overwhelm. It's an overwhelming experience. That's what he said. It's an overwhelming experience. And I still, I still get that release when I think back to that time. And that's what I use that to think about what I might be feeling if I'm going through a period where I might be triggered or something's happened or I'm under pressure and stress, overwhelm. That's the name for this, right? And then to go backwards from there and work my way into how did I work up to this, right? And so I wanted to come in today and share that with you, that your focus on this journey is going to depend on whether or not you are able to process what's happening, whether you're able to name it and then execute, right? I did a couple of exercises this week. Was it this week? I think I did a couple of exercises this week where I wanted you to name some things, right? Create your own color, right? Name your own color. I do that because I want you to think outside the box. I want you to understand the power and control you have over your reality, over your life, over what you call from the universe into your life. Because one of the things that we learn as trauma survivors, childhood trauma survivors, is that we have no autonomy. We struggle with that. We struggle with the ability to understand what our, excuse me, we struggle with the ability to understand what our power is, what we have permission for, right? And so when I say we have to be able to give, I lost my train of thought as I heard the the air come on. Doggone it. Let me walk backwards. Okay, I know we're discussing focus, so I hate when that happens, but it'll come back to me. Since I had COVID, I have those often. I have periods where I have to come back to something, and sometimes it never comes back. And that's why I carry a notebook with me a lot now. But your focus, being able to name something, that's where I was, okay? So you can name it whatever you want. Like I said, I use overwhelm because when I heard that word and I heard him give that as a definition of what trauma was and an overwhelming experience, it helped me to process what I was feeling, because a lot of times we don't have a word for that. We don't have the vocabulary. And I say all the time, this is why the ancestors before us struggled so hard with it. There was nobody to tell them. There was nobody to tell them. So we have at our fingertips a lot of resources, and a lot of people have been doing this work, and we're able to get that help. But we have to be receptive to it. It has to be fertile soil. The seeds have to fall on fertile soil. The water has to get to soil that has not been dried out, right? It has to be receptive. If you see clay soil, you pour water on it, it disappears. You can see a little wet spot, but it disappears. So it takes a lot of water. And for all of us, that's different. Some of us may only need a little water. You know, some of us may need a lot. I need a lot. And so being able to name that emotion during those times is key. It was for me, okay? It was for me. And so overwhelming experience meant now when I felt that those ranges of emotions that were conflicting, that maybe I don't understand what I'm feeling, I just know something's off. And I've shared this before too, and I had to learn this. We're not always responding to something that's happening right there in that moment. Sometimes we're responding to something that's happened prior, and we've learned to suppress it. And so now it's come up, right? Maybe we're relaxed enough. Maybe, you know, something's happened and we are overwhelmed, and that floated to the top first, right? And so being able to name those feelings and emotions for yourself in a way that you identify with, that you're comfortable with, that's easy for you to remember, that's important. That's why I did the exercises with us naming our own things. We don't have to stick to the rule book, okay? We can take that rule book, we can modify it, and we can make it our own, and we can live with those new tools modified in a way that best helps us be successful. That's why I'm hell-bent on trying non-traditional methods because a lot of the stuff out here is outdated. I can't seem to get you to cooperate with me today. A lot of the stuff out here is outdated, and that's why people aren't making progress, because they go into using tools that are not working for them, okay? They are using tools that they can't even identify with, like culturally it doesn't fit, right? And so that's what I wanted to come in today and share with you, something that I've learned and that I've been able to use to help me to stay focused, right? Focused on my dream of becoming the woman I enjoy living inside of all the time, and that I'm not in there with her battling all the time. Why are we in pain? Why can't we have a day where we aren't fighting, our trauma, right? And my heart goes out to you if you're in that period of your journey where that is your every waking moment, trying to fight that person inside of you to let you have a moment to breathe, a moment to be able to absorb a new tool, to be able to implement that into your life and not to keep interrupting you when you're speaking. It's important. And that's why I'm here, because I want you not to give up on yourself. I want you to stay focused on why you started this journey. I don't care if parental estrangement is what led you here. I don't care about that. What I care about is the fact that you get to feel better about your life and about living inside of your body with you, not constantly having to hold it tight and protect it and to lash out to keep people at bay from further wounding or re-wounding. That is a very overwhelming experience to have. Find your words and focus using that or them. Let that bring you back to your center. Let that remind you of why you're on this journey. Reconciliation would be beautiful for you and your loved one or loved ones that you're having, that you're estranged from. But what I want you to get out of this most is that the work that you got to do starts with you first. That's where your peace is going to be. Because if you can't reconcile with the individual or individuals that you're estranged from, you are going to be able to digest that way easier, knowing that what you did get out of this deal is that you are living a life of freedom from being oppressed by your trauma. And I hate to use oppress. I hate I even let that word come out because it's so much more that I hate when people use that and don't use it in the right context, because that's a real word and real things attached to it. You don't have to be not traumatized by your trauma. How crazy would that be? Imprisoned by a life lived with trauma. I think that's a better way to put it, because you're shut down and shut in when trauma rules your life. So I try not to make these videos too long, and I'm looking and I'm at the 14-minute mark. So if this is your first time coming into the YouTube channel and to our channel here, the Matriarch Code, my name is Shawn Splane-Wilburn. I am a coach to moms who are navigating parental estrangement. One day I'm going to be able to say that with ease. Stay with me so you can watch me grow. But I create brave spaces for mommies who have not had the most perfect experience in parenting, but they want to be. They want to be as imperfectly perfect as they can be, and they want to have a better life. and they're willing to do the work. And so I create these spaces so that moms come in, see me, hear my being vulnerable and transparent, hear my story, the real story, not just the end where it's bells and whistles and I don't look like what I've been through. The part that says I had to hide my face because I had puffy eyes from crying. The part that says I had to leave another job because I don't want to have to be confronted and not be able to properly respond. And it is better for me to remain in a professional decorum and leave here than for me to cuss so-and-so out because she get me on the day or he get me on the day where trauma is triggered and you can get all this. I know you're out there. And if you come across this video, that was me too. And so that's why I'm here. And I'm hoping that's why you came. And if you didn't and you're just passing by and you were curious and none of this has anything to do with anything you are experiencing or anyone you know, then it helps you to build compassion for people who do. It creates an awareness. And if nothing else, awareness is a very powerful tool because it creates compassion for others. So thank you for coming in today. And I haven't come up with a closeout that is, for my for these sessions yet. So I don't know. I'm just gonna say thank you for stopping in, and I hope to see you again, or I hope you stop by again and catch another one of these. Okay? Bye for now.